Hi guys, Ron here, out and about outdoors. Hey, little challenge video here. I was tagged by Obsession Outdoors, Double O Outdoors, to do a video on three questions he asked. Those three questions being about fishing. One, what is my most memorable fishing trip? Two, what is my least favorite fishing trip or least memorable one that you're going to remember them all, but one you don't really want to remember, and who got me into fishing. So with that, let me start with the who got me into fishing. When I was a little kid, all right, I going back probably I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. My dad told us after we were working out in the garden with him, because I grew up on a small uh, farm, if you will, in central Pennsylvania, and had four brothers. My mom and dad, we all lived there in this house, and we had a small barn where we kept some pigs. We raised chickens, ducks, rabbits. We had a beef animal for beef, and we had a very large garden. When I say large, it was over 3 acres of gardening, just garden, nothing, no, no big berry patch or anything in it, just garden. We raised everything from corn all the way up through to, lima beans, potatoes. If we wanted to eat it, we had to raise it. So we didn't really go to the grocery store for much. My mom would go and maybe buy a bag of flour if my dad didn't get it from the feed mill when he was at the feed mill. So anyway, we lived there on that little farm, and my father, after working in the garden with my brothers, told us that why don't you boys keep some of those worms that we're digging up, and I'll take you all fishing. So with that, my dad, when we got done, my dad loaded us up in the old what we had back then, old Bel Air, Chevy Bel Air, I guess it was, and he loaded us all up, my mom and my brothers and I, and we stopped by a relative's house and picked up some of my cousins, and we all went up to a spot along the Susquehanna River. Back then in the day, you could pull off and go fishing there. So we went there, and we all piled out, and we sat along this wall, and we didn't even have fishing rods. My dad would tie about, I guess it was about maybe 20 yards of line, if it was that, onto a stick. And, you dropped it down into the water with a hook and an old washer or an old nut or something on it, and an earthworm, and you let it hang down there until you got a bite. And you knew you had a bite because you had the line. Once the line hit the bottom of the riverbed, you rolled the stick up until the line got tight. So with that, I was hooked. My first fish, I think back then, was a rock bass. And then from there, sucker fishing in the creek that ran past our home. And we would go down there. My brothers and I, we would go down there, and we'd chase the creek chubs and the white suckers up and down the creek. And we thought we were having a blast catching monsters when we had maybe a 7 or 8 inch creek chub, or a 12-inch sucker. We thought we had a whopper of a fish back then. It was a lot of fun, and it got me hooked into fishing, and I've been fishing ever since. So that's how I got hooked on fishing. My dad. All right. Let's see. We'll go back to the next one is my least memorable fishing trip. Now, I've had lots of fishing trips, I guess you could only imagine. But my least memorable fishing trip was I was out ice fishing, and it was new to the sport. Maybe I was in my late 30s, 40s, maybe about 20 years ago, something like that. Anyway, I was out ice fishing on a canal in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Actually, you all see me out there catching the tooth. I did the toothy critter video that I did in the same area of the canal where I'm going to tell you that this happened. I was out there fishing, and it was ice season, and wasn't catching much. I had just drilled a couple holes and didn't really know a whole lot about ice fishing, but I knew there was bluegills and perch in that canal there, so I figured, why not? Let's see if we get some bluegills and perch. And I walked down through there a ways and found a deep hole, and I was there fishing. And then after about 20 minutes, I kind of got bored because nothing was taking my tip ups, because back then I didn't have a jigging rod. I had tip ups out, and no flags were up, so I was looking at the brush, and I took notice of all these spinners along the bank. So I started walking along the bank, taking the spinners and the fishing hooks and all the other lures and stuff I was finding in the trees. I was taking them down, and I got pretty far down through from my tip ups, and one of the flags went up. So I figured the easiest way to get back was to just go up on the bank and run back down to the tip up. Well, when I crossed the canal to the bank, the ice in this one spot wasn't very thick, and I went whoosh down up to my waist in this ice cold water, and it was about maybe 25, 26 degrees out that day, and I was about maybe half a mile from my car. So you want to talk about the least favorite fishing trip? That was my least favorite fishing trip right there. Let me tell you, I was lucky that the canal water wasn't a little bit deeper. And from that day forward, I always take, my ice picks, and I usually won't go out on the ice unless I splunk it or there's a lot of other people out on that ice. So, that was my least favorite fishing. My most memorable fishing trip is a fishing trip I took with my friend Harry, and it was a couple years back. And actually, I have two. It's the one I took with my friend Harry, and one I took with my other best friend, my wife. Let me tell you about the one with my friend Harry. My friend Harry and I were out at a sports show down in a little town down where Harry's from, and we were buying some lures and looking around the sports show. And when it all got done, I said to him, "Hey, why don't we go get some minis and go over to the pond there by your house, since the water's open, and see if we can't catch some crappie." So, so we went over there, and we were doing a little crappie fishing. I had just hooked a minnow onto a bobber and cast it out near a tree, and sat my rod down, and I was talking with Harry, and the line started taking off, and the bobber's going down, and I'm thinking, man, I got a nice crappie on here. And I went and I set the hook, and hey, this ain't a crappie. I think it's a catfish. And maybe about, I don't know, 5 minutes later, Harry's jumping in the water, because I had about a 6.5, 7 pound bass, and big largemouth bass. It was my PB bass, one of the biggest ones I ever caught. And Harry jumped in there, and he saved it from getting off the hook from me. And we made some phone calls and found out that bass were still in season. So I was able to keep the fish and have it mounted. And I have that fish with me still today. And if you look right here, is that fish hanging on the wall right above my finger here. See him? That's the bass. Now, I'll give a lot better picture of that bass. And here it is. Big old big mouth bass. That one didn't get away. All right. So, y'all like that bass? That's a nice one, right? Okay, now the second most favorite fishing trip of mine happened with my wife Lois. We were out on the first day of trout season, and I was it was probably about 30 years ago now. It has to be at least that long ago. Maybe not, maybe 27 years ago. How's that? Anyway, we were out fishing in Monocacy Creek, not far from where I made some videos. You look at the video I done recently where I went brown trout fishing in Monocacy Creek. That same birthday day fishing, that same creek is where I was fishing with my wife, and we were underneath the Main Street bridge, and the creek flows underneath there, and there's a nice set of rapids, and they go into a small pool, and in there laid a big uh, golden trout, a big palomino. Maybe that fish was well, when we had it mounted, that fish was almost 6.5 pounds and about maybe 2 foot long, something like that, 26 inches, I think the guy said. Anyway, I have that fish today. It's mounted, but let me get into what happened. First of all, instead of being the greedy guy that everybody thinks I am, I got my wife and I talked my wife into casting to the right spot in the creek, and she hooked that fish twice and lost that fish twice. And she gave up on it. She told me she wasn't going to try anymore. She wanted me to see if I could get it. So I cast in, and about 3 casts later, I hooked it and landed it. And that poor fish was that wore out. We couldn't get it to revive. That's the reason we took the fish home. And we took it to a taxidermist and had it mounted. And I have that fish here still today. It lives in my house. It's on the wall. It's on the wall actually, no, not over there. Actually over here on the wall. But you can't see it right now because of the way the computer is. But I'll do the picture to you. Here you go. All right. So you see that fish? That's a nice trout, right? Okay. They're all special to me, but that's a real nice trout. So those are my three answers to my questions, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to answer those questions. Their obsession outdoors. All right, and now I would like to ask three questions of my own and give you my pick for three YouTube channels that I would like to challenge with this tag. The first question would be, what is your favorite outdoor activity other than hunting, trapping, or fishing? Okay, what do you like to do outdoors besides that? Like some of us like to go bike riding, hiking, stuff like that. So think about it. What's your favorite outdoor activity you like to do other than hunting, fishing, or trapping? All right. The other one would be, what is your favorite indoor activity that pertains to outdoors? So, do you like fly tying? Do you like going through and sorting through your tackle box and making lists for planning trips? Or what is your favorite indoor activity that you like to do to get ready for your outdoor activities? Your favorite one. And then, what is your favorite outdoor activity you like to do with your family? Okay, what kind of outdoor activities do you enjoy doing with your family? What's your favorite one? That's really what I'm looking for. What's your favorite one? Like, is it camping? Is it having a picnic? Is it just going for a nice hike in the woods? You know, what's your favorite one to do? Okay, and the three YouTube channels that I'd like to challenge with that are Vincent Donnelly. Vince has a real nice YouTube channel there. He does a lot of different things. I'm anxious to hear what his answers are. Nichols Retirement Empire. He's not an outdoor channel, but he does do some fishing and stuff. So I'd like to hear what his favorite things to do are. And then Good Times Outdoors. Yeah, I like to know what they like to do. They're a nice outdoor family. They do a lot of different things. So, what are their favorite things to do? Okay, so with those three tags, I'm gonna let y'all go. And hey, thanks for giving me the opportunity to sit up here and go over all my favorite things with those three questions. Thanks, I really appreciate it. God bless you all, and hey, have a nice day.